Well, all right. And how's your quarantine experience going?
I feel like the biggest problem I'm having is that like I'm enough of an introvert that I'm just like completely cool not talking to anyone at all. And so like I think I've said like more than I think I've even like I like posted in a Discord thread that Sean was reading, and that's as close I've come to talking to like my best friend. But aside from that, it's pretty good. I've been working from home. I actually came home from Worlds, and I had the con crud so bad. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work from home because I like they give us laptops and I can do that. So I don't infect everyone in my office, and that rolled directly into not infecting everyone in my office with coronavirus. So
So you've been at home since Worlds?
plus or minus, yeah. Went in a couple days.
I've been doing this legendary Wolf Games online tournament. It's been real fun.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
So
let me
like,
play Bison. I was really sad because it's not legal yet. So I'm playing Morgan right now. I played Janet last week. You're gonna say something, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I know you mentioned saying I should do that, and so I'm just like, I just hesitate because it's like, it's really stupid, but like, I don't want to blow $8 and like lose. It'd be bad.
Right, but if you win, you get like if you go like
Yeah,
even if you go even, I think you get $10 worth of
oh yeah, you can,
credit
can you,
or
you
something
can,
like
you
that.
can spend that on entries.
Yeah,
Like, can you roll it over? Oh,
yeah, you
sick.
can. Yeah, yeah. So
Well, that's
you do one
see,
and
I
it
can
pays for
go
itself.
infinite. That's just satisfying. So
Yeah,
and I feel like I like the uncertainty of like, when I sign up and then when am I actually gonna play that just like bugged me out from actually doing it. But I should do that. I should also like build a deck. I want to play.
it'd be
That's
good,
the other
dude.
struggle.
It'd be good. Or like talk to Miles and be like, why can't we play legacy cards? Oh well, because it's not a tabletop simulator. Well, that's a shitty shitty reason.
I,
We play,
I could sell that, man. It's
yeah,
like
do it
let
on
me play a
Untap.
stupid Skullman deck against people online. Like I'll do that. I'll sell that for you. No problem.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that'd be funny. We gotta transition. We gotta segue this video into making online legacy tournaments. That's what we need.
Yeah, get people hyped. Like, dude, there's so many insanely cool cards, and I've been thinking about like I started branding it retro, and then it seems very easy to say, yeah, we're gonna have retro, and like it's gonna be like this 8-bit game Mega Man and like these old Red Horizon cards, and not this old fighting game King of Fighters because no one has those cards anyway.
Right.
Um,
Well, that'd be
and
easier to do
then
on like Untap or something like that, right? Since you don't have need
yeah,
access to cards.
I actually started putting this deck into Untap, and then I got sick of dealing with Untap's shitty interface, but
That is most of my experience with it too.
like I sure punched in Hakeshu of Death and Fatality, no problem. It was just really, it just took like 6 seconds to pull the card up, and then I added 14 fatalities to my deck. That was great.
Well, this is going to be a little bit different from the other videos you did because this is like halfway about your deck you played in Omaha and how fun it was, and halfway like exposing people to legacy or like you said retro, and
Yeah,
like why why it's fun and like I love we had this like 3 hour mostly drunk conversation about legacy when we were in Omaha, and it was like the most fun I had while I was there. Um, so I'd love to just pick your brain about your expansive lore that we have, and
yeah.
convince people why this should be a format that should exist. I guess we should start with the deck though. That would be important. Let me pull up my
That
notes.
seems like that's why we're here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What drew you to the deck in the beginning?
Uh,
Like what made this
all right.
engine start?
So the story of this deck really starts almost like immediately after Mortal Kombat got like released or previewed or whatever, and we saw Fatality, and Rob Snyder actually like snapped off instantly this card Quick Taste and Fatality. That's gain some life, and then this old X card Hikeshu of Death, and Hikeshu of Death had been kind of a pet card of a lot of people back in the day because there were ways you could sort of push it that were like was almost getting crazy and almost on the edge of. It's like a closed loop card, like right, like it doesn't take a lot of. I think a lot of longtime competitive players will see that thing and see it just as a lever to pry the game wide open. But anyway,
Right.
Rob spotted exile your opponent's graveyard instantly, and like that's pretty hot. And that had been floating around in the back of our heads for a long time. And then Legendary Will said, "Hey, we're gonna have a Jasper Eternal event," and my friend Ryan Field, who I was gonna be traveling there with, said, "I want to play Skullman. I want to play Fatality Hakeshu of Death. We're gonna make this happen."
Right.
And we talked a lot about what would go into it, what character you want to play. Sorry. So the other important piece is you play Hakeshu with Fatality, and that's like pay 2 life, remove a card in one's graveyard. But then you also play Where There's Smoke, There's Fire to put 2 quick haste in your card pool, and now Hakeshu of Death is free. And so this is 2 ancient KOF cards that I think it probably already rotated out of standard. Plus, Quick Taste is a terrible card. Hardly anyone plays that. I think it should be played a little more, but hardly anyone plays it. And just this dream came to be that Field would play this deck and that he would deck someone on the spot on whatever turn of the game. It doesn't matter. They can't block. They can hardly do anything to stop it. And then we were iterating and I think we settled pretty early on playing Skullman because his 4+ means the Fatality Loop removes your opponent's graveyard from the game, discard pile. I keep using magic terms because they're better, but now Skullman lets you say 4+, your opponent takes a card from their deck and puts a card in their discard pile.
Mm-hmm.
So now that means if you keep Fatalitying them, their whole deck evaporates and they die instantly.
Right, that's the cycle
really
part of the equation. Yeah.
Eventually they cycle and they have fewer than 10 cards in their discard pile, or fewer than 10 cards to remove, so they're done. And that's really the dream. That's really exciting. It's really cool, and like getting to cheat in that way is just kind of something that people like Field and people like me are drawn to. It's really cool. So then from there, it was really a lot of questions of like, well, how are we actually make this deck work? How fast do we think this is? How long do we need to defend ourselves? How should we defend ourselves? What symbols should we be playing? Because Skullman has Death, Hakeshu of Death has Death, and you don't need to chain Quick Taste until you're winning. So you can do whatever with that. But I really liked playing the Chaos Space for a couple of reasons. And it was really kind of a very sort of fluid deck for a long time. Like we were talking about it, like we got to just get together and like hammer out all these details because there's so much like it's such a weird deck, and we're trying to dictate so much. We're trying to play defense and figure out how to buy time. And then the best way to do that was really up in the air for a long time. And I kind of realized, hey, I like all these water cards. And actually one weirdly big thing was this card, Insect Puppeteer, is just a good 0 difficulty foundation. And I want to have some cheap foundations in my deck if I play Hand Cannon. So now I want to play Hand Cannon off the water symbol, not chaos at all, not death, anything. I want to put that in my deck just so I can have a 0 diff that does something, that has text.
Right.
And then there's kind of a confluence of like, oh, if we play Destined Warrior, now that's a Destined Warrior Big Cyclone and shut off their damage pumps. And Big Cyclone is a devastating card. Let's be clear. And I played this combo Destined Warrior plus Big Cyclone in the past, and it's insanely good. Especially if you're playing Hakeshu of Death, you can then retrieve your Big Cyclones from your momentum after Destined Warrior puts them there. And
Holy
so it just
smokes.
gives them a whole nother helping of pain. And really, it was kind of like the Thursday before the Omaha PDC that finally, like, I took out a notebook and was like scribbling down, like, okay, here's the cards that have water, here's the cards that we can play, here's the whatever, and then we ended up with like, we're playing Last Ditch Gamble for a long time just to draw a card, and I was like, it's probably not very good. Let's find something else with these slots, and finally hammered it down to what we have here.
Now, the Legacy event itself was just Jasco retro stuff, right? It doesn't go all the way back to the beginning of UFS, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's been kind of the push in the last couple of years, insofar as anyone's talking about playing a format that has cards that have rotated up standard. There's been a lot of energy to bring in like the old Fantasy Flight or the really old, like 10 years old kind of cards from the Sabretooth era. Just because the Jasco stuff is kind of a natural stopping point. And really, I think if you look at it, like there's a lot of very powerful cards. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, but like I think Nutcracker is still a very important card in this format to know about. There's like it looks like standard in a lot of ways. You know, like Bang is an important card. Like Stop is probably a good card in this format. And, you know, attacking is good, and in a way that the really old Legacy stuff really does not tend in that direction.
Right. Well, when you combine some of the defensive pieces back in the day, I think would when you mix those two things up, right, like the modern attack quality with the defensive quality of the older Jasco stuff, probably get some. I mean, you get what we got in Omaha, right? Like, I know that there. I remember some people saying that there were like people who took their standard legal decks and they're just like, let me just stuff 4 of this foundation in, or I'll stuff 4 of this attack in, right?
I know I brought a big box of Jasco Eternal stuff, and I was handing that stuff out like candy. I know I gave Jacob Johnson had his Yoshimitsu deck, and I just handed him some copies of Superior Technique in UFS House. Look those cards up, they're nuts. I know I gave Barry Everson a Clandestine Research to put in his Cassie Cage deck. And I know I remember this because he just gave it back to me in Worlds. Because I've got to get it back from him before we left Omaha.
Yeah, you were trying to sell me on Quan Chi with older characters, and I'm
sure they're not even as good as Sungmina, but yeah.
Yeah, I wish I would have stayed. My the 2 guys I drove up with were so damn tired at that point that they're like, "Oh man, let's go home." But I feel like I really missed out on something magical. I mean, somebody on the way home, somebody in Discord told me about. I never heard of. It's like a Neomax card, Trinity Geyser. Yeah, I had never heard of that card before, and I was like, "Holy Christ!" Nobody played Takeda with that card, you know?
Yeah. Takeda with that card, because Cassie Cage with that card. Like, I'm a Trinity Geyser with 6 foundations in my card pool. Play 2 more foundations. Play another Trinity Geyser. Cassie for +8. Draw 3 more.
Just silly stuff. Just was there another like deck you were thinking about at the time?
Oh God! So yeah. The big story. The story of this was I played in the PTC itself. Main event was on Saturday, and so did Field. And I was playing Kung Jin, and my day didn't start out great, and it didn't get much better. And I finished out of contention I was pretty rapidly out of contention. Right. But Field actually made top 8 with his Jackie deck, and he was going to play Skullman, and I was going to figure something out with my giant box and stuff. And he said, "Listen, so I'm in top 8. We're starting on Sunday too. We're probably not going to play the side event. Probably not going to have time to play the side event. You just play Skullman, because you would just, and on Thursday, we've been labbing it really hard. And I was like, here's what I think you should do."
So you stole Field's list.
I stole his deck. Yep.
That's funny.
It was a team effort. I think it really.
It sounds like a collaborative thing. Of course. Yeah, I'm memeing, but.
Very much stole his deck.
So did you get to go through your legacy stuff? Is there like a number 2 in the Broberg sphere, right? Of like Dimitri.
Actually, you're reminding me. I did have another legacy deck that I thrown together, and it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to play, but I think it was a very good deck, and I think it was like a lot of fun just to like mess around with cards, which was Air Symbol Gemini Man. And I think kind of this is like sort of like the dark underbelly of the Jasco Eternal format, the way it looks right now, is that they have these MRP characters that you can actually gauge onto each other, and not intended interaction whatsoever, and it's really, really good. Like kind of insanely good. So Gemini Man, he says when you block the Gemini Man, you put him in your staging area and you draw a card. And you also count in Gemini Man in your staging area to give a speed and damage bonus.
Nuts.
He's just better Iron Knuckle printed on him.
Right.
So you get 1 speed plus Iron Knuckle. And then the other one, the 2-dot, says if your attack shares 2 symbols with you, you can basically make the Gemini Man make a Gemini Man in your staging area into a multiple copy of your attack. So you multiple one, you pay the cost using a Gemini Man 1 or Gemini Man from your staging area.
Right.
And he shares 2 symbols with Suzaku.
That's a lot of gauge stuff.
And so that's a lot of gauge stuff. That's a lot of multiple 1 Prism Storms of Torment wearing Iron Knuckles damage bonus. And so it was just this really it's kind of defensive because it's got Gemini Man stacks and like all kinds of defense and like card advantage and play good UFS kind of cards from the history. And it's also got this crazy like donk offense of just like, if you don't block anything, I'm going to gauge. And also my attacks have printed 2+2 speed minimum on them. I'm going to play a Storm of Torment. It's like a 7 mid for 6 base. And if I ever get stacked, you ever attack me, it's getting faster and faster. And you can get some crazy stuff going. It was a lot of fun. And I actually lent that deck out to someone who lost the first round of the tournament to the 4-attack Kung Jin deck, or the Tiger Scream deck, which was legal at that time.
Right. He got banned
and
after the PTC after that.
Yeah, and then another Gemini man diversity down out, and he was in the running, but he got diversified. He got out of top 8.
Right.
Yeah, that was probably number 2. But there's a ton of cards I love. Like I mentioned, UFS House and Superior Technique. I built a Yoshimitsu deck that was doing some Mimi stuff with Guilty Throne, but couldn't quite get that to do what I wanted it to do. I didn't have much experience playing Yoshimitsu at that point, so I was bailing on that pretty hard. I played it a little bit and couldn't be the standard deck.
Right.
Which is kind of the really insane thing about this. I mentioned that it feels like the format is a lot like standard in a lot of ways. One thing you see in standard is decks that are hard to kill, like Gil or Jeddah or Kuwabara. Those can, if you walk into a room that's not prepared for them, you can take the whole room down, just like that, because just people aren't tuning their decks to have that second gear or whatever. And we saw that in a big way in this 1K Plus event. There were I know Mark China played Gil and he topped. Jeremy Ray played Jeremy Ray 1 dot. It was either that or he actually did play Kuwabara, but it was basically a standard Kuwabara deck with a couple extra toys from just a few extra little things. And our hero of the story, Ryan Field, was playing Jackie with his standard deck.
The
he
same deck.
Said, "Hey, do you have the list I gave you yesterday? Enter me in the tournament with that, please."
So a lot of these big characters that you did well into because they did a slower gear, right?
Yeah, I definitely think that's certainly an aspect to it. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, the fact I don't have to count to 30 life through future poolside day and 3 cards worth of blocks in Jackie's case or whatever, like Gil, certainly helps me execute my game plan comfortably.
All right. So speaking of the game plan, can you walk me through the combo? Like, how does because
all right,
I just read it. On the Reddit post, which everyone should go read because it's a wonderfully detailed Reddit post. But I want it for posterity in the video.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it helps to just have it verbalized for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So the way it works is, picture a point. You have 2 quick tastes in your card pool. Mm-hmm. You have a fatality in your hand, a fatality in your momentum, and a Hekeshu Death in your staging area. And remember, picture that in your head. Remember that.
Yeah.
So now you play the fatality in your hand. You enhance with Hekeshu, pay 2 life, respond, gain 2 life. So your life total doesn't change. You pick up the fatality from your momentum, and then you 4+ with Skullman, and you make him draw a card and discard a card if you hit it. Then you resolve your fatality, and you respond to fatality. This is important to remove a card in your opponent's discard pile.
Right.
Then you Skullman enhance. You probably don't do anything else. Then you resolve it, put it in your momentum. You are now in exactly the same place you started, except your opponent has 1 less card in there. And so now you play your fatality again. You do all those steps again. You end up fatality in hand, fatality in momentum, catch you in stage. And that's the combo. That's it.
That's it. And I heard that you had people made you play the combo, and you found extravagant ways to screw it up.
I found a lot of really I found a lot of ways to mess it up. From just not verbalizing that I was going to shortcut and just stop moving cards around and then fucking up moving my cards around.
Right.
I'm going to do anything other than Hekeshu of Death E as my first enhance. My fatality has to go to momentum, and I don't have another one.
I have to do this again, right?
I have to pass the turn and find another fatality at some point. From that to I know against Mark Tyner, he had X cards in his discard pile. He had X cards. He cycled after I was 4+ing him, and then he has 10 cards in his deck, and I just say go, because 10 cards is if you cycle your 10 cards, you lose. But they're in his deck, so he gets a draw step, and it's fine. I know and it's like less of a severe mistake, but I know there was one point in the finals, one of the games, I think the game I lost in the finals, where I started trying to go for it. So one of the neat things with this is that when you're doing fatality, if you don't have the quick tastes, you can just play fatality and get an enhanced step, and then put it away, and then catch your death, and do that, and just burn your life down. And if you can find, your Skullmancy, you look at 2 cards every enhanced step. If you can find where there's smoke, then you can get to the bottom and combo off.
Right.
And I just made some small error where I didn't look at like I forgot to do some enhance somewhere. I think I had a Destined Word, and I didn't use it to put a quick hits in my card pool until the second time I played in a fatality. And so I had 1 less life, and that meant 1 less enhanced step, and that 1 less look to find the cards, and I found the cards. By the time I found the cards, it was too late, and I didn't have any more life to be able to continue the combo. Because you're 2 life, you can't play because you can't play because you have Death's Enhance. You die before you can respond.
Right. Man, it's such a meme. It's wonderful, man. I know. Like mill decks, at least where I came. The only other card game I ever played was Pokemon, and mill decks in Pokemon were like everybody hated them, everybody, and like I didn't.
I can imagine that's rough in Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess, but it's so funny, you know. Like I beat my opponent without touching him, right? You know, like that's such a wonderful
lifestyle. Yeah,
no, yeah, exactly. Just playing the, the alt win condition thing. I guess it is in a more generic sense. Like I know, in a more general sense, the alternate win condition makes people. It's a contentious issue, right? But even in our deck, it feels more fair when I get milled out because it takes so much effort to do it. In Pokemon, you just run out of cards, you're done, right? UFS, we go through those cards 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah.
And it's so fun that it came to this like singularity where now in Legacy it's not just generic mill, it's a combo, right? Like it's combo mill. Once you get there, you should get, they're done, they're out of deck, right?
And also the other thing that happened too was that in I want to say the semifinals, I played against Jeremy Ray, and he kind of threw his deck together. It was a bit of a pile. It had like 85 cards. And, I said, like, you win instantly with the 4+ thing. You don't really. So the way that works is you play a fatality, you make a control check. You 4+ for Skullman, you make a control check. So you put 2 cards in your discard pile in exchange for your opponent drawing 1. Yeah. And now they don't get a discard pile because you fatality their discard pile very quickly. But then you have to mill the rest of their deck. And if you're paying 2 to their 1, and their deck is really bad, you can be in trouble. If he was playing a 5-hand size character who didn't have a huge staging area necessarily.
So what did you do to get out of that spot?
Well,
like, did Jeremy do the lane thing?
Oh, he was trying to kill me. He was going in.
Oh, okay, good. I was worried that he was like, I pass, I build 1, I pass, no. Right? Okay, good.
He kept trying to take my head off, but I was defending myself well enough. Okay. So in game 1, what actually happened is the deck. I don't want to like toot my own horn too much, but like a lot of people could find Hekashi of Death and all that other stuff that combo, but actually like there's a lot of stuff in this deck that isn't obvious that makes it really important to make a deck. Like future poolside date, letting you gain 2 life whenever you discard with Skullman. But in game 1, I actually found Rose's Piano. And Rose's Piano does is whenever you play an attack, you shuffle a card back in your deck. So now you're paying 1 card to mill them for 1 card. Instead of paying 2 cards.
There you go.
Right. Yeah, now he has 85 cards, but I get to cycle. He doesn't get to cycle, so I'm going to win that race, even no matter where that starts, pretty much.
Right.
But then in game 3, I had my 1-up. I had my Surveyor. And I played a fatality, and I said, I'm going to block. We're going to be in for this for a good long haul. He also had at least 1 copy of Spirit Detective too, which would seal a fatality if I played it. And so instead of being 2 fatalities, I need 3 because one would get momentum.
Right.
And so I beat him the hard way. I just fatalityed him once per turn for 14, 30, 75, 100 turns. I don't know.
Sometimes you got it, right? I mean, you actually did the mill plan. You didn't combo the man. You had to actually mill.
yeah, that's right.
Had to play your 1 Surveyor.
There's really kind of 4. Because
Oh,
Lion's
right,
Stance is so good in this deck. It's so I can't overstate how good it is.
right, right. I mean, that's a team asset right there. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. If you want a
jeez.
like my 10,000 foot view of this format is that there are like three equally important groups of cards. There are all the cards in standard, and those are probably actually more important. But there are all those cards, but you kind of already know those. You don't need to do too much research into those.
Mhm.
Then there's the old champ cards. Exactly all of the champ cards that rotated out of standard are the next important group of cards that you should go research and read all of them and put as much effort into understanding in this context as you put into understanding all of the standard cards. And then equal with those, and actually, so I'm gonna say like old promos actually, because there's also King of Fighters promos that have some really cool cards like clandestine research in them.
Sure.
And then there's all of the other Jasco sets, all the stuff that rotated out of standard. And there's certainly some gems in there, but like, your Hikeshus of Death, your Nivoses, your Trinity Geysers, that's cool and important, but like your Lion Stance is like orders of magnitude more important. It's probably more important than every card in every other in the Jasco sets that are
Okay.
rotated out of standard. It's better than those cards because it's so good. It says take print damage from an attack if you can survive it, and then it also turns into any card in your discard pile. Sometimes both if you copy a card like Facebook Monster. Sometimes you copy a card like Future Poolside Date, and you get to -2 speeds and stuff before you tap it to block.
So, do you think that Jasco's approach to champion cards back in the day was a little more Wild West than it is now? Do you think they've learned their lesson from that?
I think they have certainly adapted their processes and their approach. I think to make it a little bit less crazy. And I think they did that starting a while ago. I think it's not even a
Okay,
recent
this
development.
isn't this isn't a recent
Um,
thing. Okay.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, no.
well,
And,
the old promos used to last forever too, right? Like they were set with promos or something. I remember Phil Birch
yeah,
telling me about this, that his first character was like it was in the format for like 6 years or something like that.
yeah, I think they might have tied it to set releases. I'm not entirely sure what the rules used to be. I know that actually like Lion Stance got rotated out pretty abruptly. They said,
Uh,
"Listen, guys, after this Worlds, we're going to rotate these champ cards because we've had enough of them. They're done." And it wasn't all of them. There was like a second, like they'd been it kind of come out in waves. Maybe they hadn't. I don't know. But now the rule is very simple. You have them for 2 years, and then every 2 years they do another batch. And so, like Kevin Broberg 1 you only got him until this summer. I'm torn up to say, or maybe it's the summer after this.
I don't know. Well,
Crap.
it's each batch lasts a year now, right?
I think it's 2 years
2 years.
for
Okay, two
Super
years.
Temper.
2 years.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's an interesting little segue. Then you've actually gone through the process of creating a few cards, right? You had
One or two.
Bring Your Friends, right? Right.
Yeah.
You had it comes with a price, right?
Yep.
Which I think I'm one of like maybe two people who've played that card
Dude,
in a
it's so
tournament.
good in turn loose.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
they're finally making like character card support. If I shared a symbol with new side about that'd be so good.
Telling me, dude.
It's supposed to be like like you're supposed to like just put buddy blocks in your deck, and now they're making it so easy on everyone.
Yeah,
Back in
dude.
my day,
Well, but then you've had two character cards as well, correct?
yes.
Okay,
I
so
think
how
there's
does
one more. What's one you're forgetting?
is there one more? Well, you would know.
I'm on 2 assets too.
Oh, you have two assets, so you won teams
Yeah,
as well. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm the second Triple Crown after or whatever, like Grand Slam, I guess, after Garrett.
Okay, okay. Well, that's tell me a little bit about the process that you go through. You don't have to do each individual one, but like most of us in the peasant world are never going to experience that, right? So, what's it like to go through play testing with Jasco, right?
Um,
Like, have
I
you ever
think
sent them
it's
something too broken, right? Where they're like, no,
yes,
dial it back. Okay,
yeah.
of course
So
you have.
that was like we had like 400 pulled my trigger designs that were like that. I don't know for the most. I feel like I don't want to say like like I'm not like the other girls who like want to have a busted ass champ card. Like I didn't really want that at any point.
Right.
I don't want to like get my card banned or anything. and, like I feel like there's like I feel like I've heard second or third hand or whatever, but like some people were like, yeah, I'm gonna design this card and it's gonna like kind of fly under the radar of this combo, and then I'm gonna use it to win more champ cards. And it's like, no, I'm not into that.
No,
I just want to make like I want to express like some aspect of the game and do something cool. And like Kevin Broberg One Dot was really really bad. It was just like I want to have like Felicia and like have this like creative like play your cards out of order thing, and it just came out like that, and it's incredibly weak.
Do you think Tim tried to do something like that in a different way that maybe flew under the radar because it like okay, let's look up
Tim Two Dot. I can tell you, Tim Keefe does not believe Tim Two Dot is half as good as Tim Two Dot is. 1/10. He thinks that card is like when Shane was winning. When Shane was like winning all these tournaments and like talking about how good his deck is. He's just like, I don't know, it's super exploitable. Just block. And like, yeah, you can see where he's coming from. Honestly, he's not that wrong.
Okay, as somebody who's played into Shane playing that deck like 7 times, okay, it is not so easy to block. Even when you've got Zoslimels in your discard pile to remove and say, I've got -5 speed. Sometimes a man just like, I played this akimbo and drew 7 cards. So I'm going to fuel all 3 of these One with Natures in my staging area. And I've also...
I've also One with Natures, God. Staging area reaction? Jeez.
I was, and I am. Okay, listen. It hurts that he also Bastion stances my entire staging area away. Okay, and kills me with good UFS, which is my counter. My personal counter is somebody playing basic bitch fundamental UFS really damn well and says, I don't care about your gimmick, man. Like, who cares? You're going to sung me to stun 3+3 speed me? I don't care, dude. I've got +2 in my check. I've got -3 speed on dark, and I'll reset the speed, whatever, you know. And I'll get you with missile launchers, nutcrackers, and Kimbos, you know. So I think the strength of the deck is that if you have an insane pilot like Shane, you know, and B, you just fucking stuff all this Earth good shit into it, right? So that's the problem with Kevin Broberg 1 is that it didn't have the Earth symbol and it wasn't out in 2018.
And also, well, like there's a bunch of things. Like I think that Tim was like, I remember he was really excited about like Fusion Refusal.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, this is super cool. Like it's like sort of his pet card, and he's really excited he finally gets to like make a character that you're finally gonna put it in. And you know, if you've ever built or played a Chaos or Void Tim Keefe 2 deck, it's a lot worse.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
Like, Earth has not been a very highly respected symbol, to be honest, even with the missile launchers and nutcracker memes and stuff. Like, it has not succeeded to a terribly high extent in a while. And then on top of that, there's like this. I feel like there's a lot of synergies in that deck that were kind of maybe not underexplored, but like Tim really pushes them to the moon. Like he's a very, very good helm for Power Flip, for instance. And that card has seen no play. Like that, no one has succeeded with Power Flip before this.
Yeah,
spending some Cassie decks is like a peripheral thing or whatever. But it's really kind of like I don't want to just say it's a perfect storm, but he's even kind of doing some of the same stuff I was doing. One day, he's like, oh yeah, play your cards out of order. This will be like a cool creative puzzle, and then until it's not, because your Earth cards are all kind of naturally putting themselves out of order like that, and not kind of depressive difficulty, and et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I would describe Tim Keefe too in the same like category as I described Cassie Cage, right? Like it doesn't alone. You look at the character and you're like, okay, but there's a critical mass of the support surrounding it. Of course, you know, like I don't think Tim Keefe 2 is annoying to me. Because I don't like things that point at my stage gear and say, stop pressing that button, Chris Bromley. Like, I want to press that button, stop it. But it's no more annoying than somebody just playing 4 Hunt for Spiders and Dragons, right? And it's less permanent than that. So it's not like and the +2 year check is nothing like whatever. Like, look at Nightwolf, man.
Like
look at Nightwolf.
Tim's been trying to make Slashman work for the longest time and like trying to like give people, hey, play Slashman. He's really good. Tim Keefe 2 is just Slashman, but better.
But better.
So that's a trade-off. Like, enhanced speed is much worse than response speed. Response start of the turn is the best time to steal something.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, like I don't think that the character should be banned. I think that maybe we should level up the support of other symbols to the point that Earth has had. You know, Like maybe that you can give me the look, but that's what I think. Like, give Chaos some love, man.
I'm just thinking about Sandy.
Sandy.
We're calling her Sandy now.
Oh,
That's
Cassandra.
Sandy.
Cassandra.
Like,
Cassandra.
we just gotta like level up that like that life and good symbols sure are struggling, man. We got to make sure all of her cards are S tier on their own.
Okay.
All
All right.
important.
I take that that's a good point. You know, like if you but they gave a third symbol. What if it only had the good symbol on it, right?
See, that's another cool thing in the promo bucket of the Jasper Eternal format of Retro is you have the attacks of power, which were cards with one symbol and one control, and they are the spiciest attacks you ever saw.
I went through these at some point
true.
recently, and they were all cool. Some of them were definitely way better than the other ones. But that is
a lot of variance in power level, yes.
Yeah.
Not completely cycle either. There's 12 symbols. There are not 12 attacks of power.
Really?
Yeah, they stopped doing them.
They just stopped. They were like, ah.
Yeah, I think it was, they were like, I don't know. They were shifting the focus of what promos they wanted to print or something. I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay, well, long before our tangent about Tim Keefe 2 Dot, I was asking you about the process of making a champ card, right? So what is it like from the ground up?
So for me, I think I have a problem where I'm a perfectionist, and so I want to make the perfect card. And the way that manifests is that, for my first batch of cards, they all came out basically the same time. Although if you look at the dates, I won some of them in like 2013, and I won some of them in 2015, and I pulled my trigger in 2016 or 17. And I think the first batch was before pull my trigger. So they were kind of in the ether of like I pitched them an idea about something I wanted it to maybe do, or maybe like some aspect of it. And I was like, hey, what do you think? Because I talked to some of their champions, and like I want to say that's how most of Jeremy Ray's cards got made. Is he pitched them an idea, and they went back and forth on it, and he kind of gave them the suggestions of how to fine tune it and some of the details and all that stuff. We got Keith Disbrow through that process. And Keith Disbrow, I don't know I think that was before your time probably when he was the dominant force in Standard. But I
had a little bit of Intersect. I remember him vaguely.
He was the best deck in the game. I think you can defensively say he was the best deck in the game for a solid couple months. He was very, very good. And it was sort of like a confluence of factors, obviously. Certainly, I think Assassination might have rotated. Or no, he rotated before that, but he was very, very good. And so I kind of went through that process. So I was like, I'm going to pitch an idea. I'm going to try to get a dialogue going. And I didn't really follow up on it very much. We didn't really have a dialogue going. And then I kind of just sat there. And yeah, eventually there was sort of more like, oh, hey, like more drive to get it done from someone in the staff or something. And I had been really lazy about getting my art, the art process through, because you get to design your own art and everything too. And some of my cards certainly have I don't want to say better art than others, but art I'd be more happy like putting up on my wall than others.
Right. I mean, there's nothing better than the current Kevin Broberg. Nothing better than driving a car in the parade in your honor while a giant balloon in your image.
Shout out to Jesse Games print on demand playmats, by the way. That's where this came from. It's 300 redemption wrappers. The best redemption wrappers you can ever spend, right there.
That card is so fun, dude. Congratulations on that art. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. I think I'll speak to this one since it's more recent in my memory. I think it's a better story. Was basically for this one, we literally I've been talking to Sean a lot. He designed some cards in the past, and we've been friends for a long time. And we're on a road trip and just bouncing ideas off. And I think at some point I basically asked him like, so how could you put Tamayos on a character? This was an action card from a infamous deck I built once called Asks Athena. And it says if you have 2 asks in your staging area, then you take the top 2 cards of your deck, you put them in your staging area face down.
Sure.
Now you make up for the fact you're playing all these assets by the fact now you have a little injection of foundations. And I also remembered from the same sort of in the adjacent territory from Athena is there's this character C who I really love, who has the ability of first F, put a card from your hand in your staging area face down. And so you just turn a card in your hand into a foundation, you get a little bit more leeway on your resources, all that stuff. a lot of really fun interactions with face down mat, like stuff like Kuwabara's kit now, where you pick up your face downs. Well, I'm going to store an attack here for later.
Right. You're gonna
dig up that nut later.
Yeah.
And literally what happened was we eventually came up with that, and came up with the form you see on it now, and we said, well, what else we want us to do? I basically just told them, like, how about a defensive ability so I don't get turn 2? Because I hate getting turn 2. That really sucks. And then we sent it off to them, and they came back to us with a design and had some more dialogue a little bit, and we ironed out the symbols, and then it got printed. And I think this is probably a little worse than the ideal Kevin Broberg I would have. It's probably worse than some of the designs I pitched at them that were other things that are much better than this. I think I had a lot of like designs around this old Foundation power called Emptiness, which just says both players have -1 hand size. And some other like really
stop being rude, Kevin.
Really like different, I guess, defensive resources. Actually, no. So that it wasn't Emptiness. Sorry, it was Unbridled Rage. With an old Foundation, much less famous than Emptiness. It just said commit, all checks get -1 for the rest of this turn. Because I hate Sense of Morals. And I want my opponent to make a Sense of Morals check and fail that shit. That's all I ever wanted in my entire life. But it's really like my first event with Mortal Kombat. I was playing a deck with Time Slow, and I would stun 4 of them, and they would just Sense of Morals their stage back up. Like, I'm hacking your checks. Anyway,
play Suzaku support. Play Suzaku support. The not used Suzaku support.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The anti-ready stuff. Yeah.
Flip it. Put it back in your deck. Stop playing that card. Yeah. Or play. You go ahead.
I play those cards, then I don't get paired into Sense of Morals.
Exactly. That's how it turns out. Every time.
The format's too varied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It has to be generic, like, and strong, like Marrying Ages, right? Like Marrying Ages is a great punish for Sense of Morals, right? Because it's so insane, right? So that's how you do it. You don't print like Sense of Morals is already nuts by itself. Like you play it even if you're not worried about stun decks, right? But when you play the stun decks, you're like, this is so great, man! Look at me, I played Sense of Morals. So
Marrying Age is amazing, but the best thing is if you play Sense of Morals too, because it has 2 symbols.
It has 2 of the
Yay! We can all stun each other never.
Hey man, I played my Takeda deck into somebody playing Sense of Morals, and I readied Takeda 2 times on their turn while playing reversals. I was the happiest man alive, dude. I was like, yeah, you keep doing it, right? Like I bamboo blind sliced, and I gave it like 6 damage.
I need to play more Takeda, dude. That deck's so fun.
So much fun, man. So much fun. What? So looping back onto Kevin Broberg too. One thing I think is funny is that you said that you didn't like being turn 2, but the commit effect is way more effective late game than it is on turn 2.
Yep. I said give me a defensive ability, and they gave me a defensive ability, and I said maybe something else, and they did not take that as strident enough feedback to change.
Right. They were like, "Oh, you mean ship it? Okay." Oh, that's funny.
But I was pretty happy. I really liked the form. I thought I'd be better with Scorch Wheel than I really am. I mean, Scorch Wheel is a fine card, but the Void symbol kind of is not in a great place these days.
Right. Yeah. Play downward or die.
I should probably try that more often. But
I remember somebody mentioned it, playing it on Kevin Broberg. There's a surprising amount of people who are like, Kevin Broberg 2 is my pet deck. Like I've heard Mark Tyner say it. I've heard Jacob. That's the same person, really, just 2 halves of the same guy. But I've heard. I think Tim made one. Tim Keith made one. I know Freely made one. I made one because you played. We kind of swapped, right? Like I gave you my Takeda list, and I stole your Kevin Broberg list, and I was like, let's try this out. But I know a lot of people who are like,
the evil deck?
Yeah, the one you played in the PTC way earlier last year. Yeah, I played that one, and I've had one in Ultra with a good Kevin Broberg with Kuwabara stuff, right? But but like I think that's it's fun that like you don't have a character that's like it's not talked about in a like Is this oppressive? Like people, you know,
It brings me a lot of joy to people say like this is my pet deck or like this is a really cool thing I found.
right.
And one of the things that I think is a big I think when I'm thinking about what I want my champ cards to do, one of the big problems is, well, I'm not going to have any support. So if I want my character to kind of like say something about UFS, I have to find a way to do that is kind of independent of what cards are going to be around it, right? Like in 10 years, if we're still playing UFS, I would be able to just like dust off Kevin Broberg 2 dot and throw a deck together with it because that's cool, right? I can't do that with Kevin Broberg 1 dot because he is too freaking bad. Kevin Broberg 2 dot, if you keep printing assets, I can find something, I'm sure.
Right. Okay. So we've got things we've learned between Kevin 1 and Kevin 2 is A, different and fun, B, timeless, and 3, not terrible.
and so Kevin Broberg 1 dot, I mean, we were talking about Lion Stance, right? Kevin Broberg 1 dot came out after in the batch where Lion Stance had been rotated shortly before it. And so there was a very intentional, like, we're not going to make more Lion Stances. Okay. Right. Don't try to get away with that crap. We're gonna power down. Because there were problems in the community of people who, couldn't get champ cards or, who wanted to play their King of Fighters cards or whatever. And, here's this random dude with bad artwork or whatever showing up and beating their asses, it kind of takes you out of the experience of we're in a fighting game.
Right.
Even though it's the coolest part in gaming, to be sure, and it's an important part of the lifeblood of the game, but you don't want it to be too much. You don't want it to be where these, the 10 most important cards in Standard are all champ cards.
Yeah. I think they've learned their lesson. I don't think any of the current batch of
I think this last batch is really well balanced.
Yeah. I'm excited to see our first lady champion card. Right, Ashley.
Yeah.
Is gonna have her champion card come out. I'm super excited for that. The really fun thing is it going to be like the DLC stuff? Is she not going to have a gender on the card?
Can I Nutcracker Ashley for 8 damage? The people want to know. I still think they should really just solve that question just with like the intuitive way of just telling you. Like they have a document that says here are people's genders if you have to Nutcracker them.
Yep, it's not going to be on the card. Yeah.
It's really not that difficult, and I imagine they're all going to be pretty intuitive for the most part.
Yeah. But do you want to do anything on the event? Do you want to do a retrospective on it, or do you want to move on to other stuff?
I can talk about the event a little bit because I think it was really amazing. I think I love what Legendary Wolf did. I love that they put up cash on the line. They ran this concurrent with their PTC. They were when people were already going to be there. And there was a format where you could play your standard cards if you wanted to, like, a standard deck made top 8. And also, but at the same time, it was sort of this celebration of all the old stuff. And that this deck was an opportunity to, like, kind of combine the two of, like, here are these old busted cards like Lion Stance, here's this weird combo we discovered on the forums 2 years ago. And finally now put it into a functioning pile together.
It's a testament to the community that everybody came together and pulled cards, even for the newer players. If I had played the event, there were players like you and a bunch of other guys who I guarantee would have been like, "Take these, dude!" Like, dude, and
yeah, check this out. Is this card busted?
Yeah. So I think one of the big like things that detractors will say of playing Legacy, is that, oh well, how am I supposed to get those cards, right? And it's like, reach out to your community, man. It is hard. It is definitely hard. They're definitely 100% right because of how small our game is. But if we do events like this, or if we can talk about doing like something online, because all those the resources are online, I think it would be so easy, and it's so great that Legendary Wolf, stuck their neck out, and it was a success. I think. I mean, we're talking about
and I think there was a lot of uncertainty too about, like, they basically created the ban list for this event. There's been a bunch of sort of more or less idle talk about what if we had what should the ban list be for Jasper Eternal. And I'm guilty of some of that because I've certainly made some big, like, oh yeah, here, I'll make a ban list for you, sure, here you go, and then not done that. But they put their own ban list for this event. There have been a ban list around. They're sort of inspired somewhat by the standard formats. Actually, I think it was Scott Sudman ran effectively a PTC online. That ended up being a round robin that ended up not finishing. because he had won a PGC and said, "Hey, we're gonna have the Iron PP tournament,
And everyone's gonna
where
play
the
for
winner's
the.
gonna 1v1 me for the plane ticket."
On that note, there's I mean, it took a quarantine to make it happen, right? Because there have definitely been tons of people who have tried to do this, just like organizing a bunch of people to play. But during the quarantine, I've been playing this Legendary Wolf Games online tournament, and it's been smooth, man. Like I had maybe one round where it was a little bit annoying that we had like a huge time difference between me and my opponent, but like it's been great. I get online for like 50 minutes. I finish my stuff. I lose easily. They slap my shit in, and then I go on with my day. But I get the breakout of me. My only complaint is that I cannot play Bison. I really wanted to play Bison, and they were like, "No, it comes out Friday." And then the day afterwards, Jasco came out and said, "No, it's not coming out at all. We're gonna wait till after the quarantine to ship this stuff." So I'm saying like curses. No, it's limited to my tabletop memes.
Yeah, it's really good. I feel like the big thing the big thing that they're doing different. I guess the big thing that is different about Legendary Wolf running this is that there are stakes, that there's an entry fee, and that there are prizes at the end of it.
Right.
And I know there've been a lot of communities out there who have tried to organize just like casual leagues or whatever online, and there's a really profound problem of people just flaking out and just not showing up and all that kind of stuff. Saying, I'll totally show up for this. I'll totally be there, and then not. And
yeah, I think $8 is the right number, right? Like that's you did $4 or $5. People are like, you do $8, and suddenly people are like, I spent $8 on this. Now I have to show up. For the people who would have flaked that, right?
It's like not quite enough for a burrito, but it's more than a coffee.
Yeah, exactly. It's the vento, right? it's just enough that you have to think about it, and you're like, I'll make this purchase and actually show up for these games. So kudos to whoever made it. It was probably Danielle Tyler, right? I think she's the computer whiz in that family. For putting the right dollar amount on it. And it's been working great. Kevin Good has been judging. Shane pops in every now and then and does Shane things. It's just like, this interaction doesn't work that way, and then he pops off somewhere else. But they have like a Discord room with all the tables and stuff like that. I think feasibly they could very easily just do a day tournament, like a regular local, because of the setup they have, which I think is what they're testing towards, right? Like they wanted to see if this could work, and I think that it's happening.
I mean, once you're running online tournaments, like there can be a lot of, if you get a good population of players going, you can have a lot of options there. You can have people playing one day tournaments. You can have people playing more spread out leagues. You can have people. You have leagues where it's like, you're going to play everyone in a round robin format on your own time, more or less.
Yeah. And it's good that there's the variety for those people, for everybody.
Yeah. There's flexibility for people who need. There's kind of potentially getting people all in one place for people who want that kind of experience.
Yeah. And at the moment, what better things do you have to do, man? You're gonna cook, clean your house.
I have Doom Eternal.
Okay, there you go. You get Doom Eternal.
That game's really good.
Oh boy. Okay, before we get totally off topic, what were your favorite matchups that day at the Eternal event?
That all right. So I had a couple stories, and I was like, I'm trying to remember what they were, but favorite interactions. Definitely. So perhaps the highlight overall was my match against Mark Tyner playing is basically, I think, may have been completely standard guild deck. Mm-hmm. And this deck is not great at blocking in the grand scheme of things. The 6 hand size, can't get that many cards in the staging area. It's got Balance Fighter, which helps a lot, but not that much necessarily. And it has a ton of non-block cards. So I was getting kind of beat up. Mm-hmm. But it was going to be game 3. I won 1, kind of uneventfully comboing him. He won 1, beating me down. I get the combo off well and but it's I don't have any of the tricks to help my deck go, and I had run my deck down kind of a little bit in advance. So it's sort of questionable if the math's going to work out for Million, and I don't want to mess it up. So I burn down. He cycles, and at some point he has. I want to say he can't have 10 cards left in his deck. I don't think, because that wouldn't work out the way it worked out. But at some point I just pass a turn to him, like, he's going to draw and cycle and lose. I think he might have had 5 cards in his deck, and I didn't. So he has 5 hand size, so he's dead, right?
Right.
He has cards in his hand. so he's not dead.
And he didn't
So he
review.
draws,
Right.
and he plays an attack, and he makes a check, and he has one card in his deck left, and it's big baby, so it's the 4-8 powerful 4.
That's gonna get
And
4 speed.
I only have a couple foundations in my staging area, and I'm at like 11.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a choice if he can powerful first and put it to lethal damage, or he can pump the speed. And he pumps this. I want to say he pumps the speed. I flip Werelight and tell him he must play the enhance on passing the torch next, or else pass. And he has one card in his deck and one card in his discard pile.
That's one way to do it.
And I couldn't have calculated it better because it was the funniest possible thing. That he'd either lose the game or shift the attack and then lose the game.
Right.
So that's like that's the sweetest real life play of history. That was probably the sweetest moment of the tournament. I know I had the match with Jeremy's Kuwabara or Jeremy or whatever, 5-hand size, good symbol deck.
Yeah.
That was a thrilling nonsense pile of insanity. Where I had to deck him the hard way in a 40-turn game, one game, and I got my Rose's Piano online in another game, and it was just a bundle of fun all the way along. And a shout out to Tyler Peace, who I think may have left the game with the Rockford crew. He was playing Gemini Men, and he I think might have been the first person to make me play it out, and I punted like 11 times against him, and some of them were game-losing mistakes, some of them should have been game-losing mistakes. I didn't quite get there. I mentioned Gemini Man earlier, I think, as like a crazy good character, and I think he was playing the Prism Storms of Torment, but he wasn't doing all the stuff that my deck was doing. He was a little bit more sort of like in a classic like aggro setup where he had like a ton of spam foundations that just didn't have text. Just like, I'm just gonna do this staging and I'm gonna pass tracks with it.
Right.
Which I think is a little bit less favorable against a deck like mine, where you really want to have like a second gear to turn into to find some stuff. But Gemini Man, if he gets big Cyclone, it makes him a little bit less significantly less powerful, but he's still playing a ton of attacks and can multiple them out and stuff, and that's all good time.
It's still a lot of stuff. I mean, even if you're not getting plus XX to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. And so he was the first one to make you actually play out the combo.
First one, and also the last one, because I played him in finals as well. So we played in rounds, and then we played in finals. And I think he might have unintentionally drew in rounds. I think I messed up the combo in one game, and then I comboed him, and as time was called in game 2.
Right.
Or something like that.
Oh, that's too bad. You dream of the situation where somebody sees the combo go off, and they're like, okay, fine, game 2.
That certainly happened. I think Tyner did that in one game, and I know I got paired into Rich Svoboda, who actually told me an amazing. Actually, this is a story that I'd forgotten about until just now. Like, we played in round 2, and he was playing a Garrett 1-dot, and I was like, "Oh man, that character's really cool! Like, this is really nice. I love that character. This is great." And he told me the story about the first time he went to a big tournament and played UFS. He had gone to Worlds like 2015, I want to say, and he had a Garrett 1 deck, and so like this is like his deck that he'd been playing, and he sits down for teams. In the first round, they get paired into Garrett's team. And Garrett Brett pairs the mirror of the Garrett Brett 1 mirror into Rich. And I want to say he wins too.
Right.
And so he was playing. It was like a Spirit Gun deck. It was like board denial, really cool, really interactive. And then I remember he scooped instantly. And when I like started looping Vitality, just like, oh, cool.
All right, cool. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's the dream scenario for me when I'm playing any sort of combo, is when like somebody's just like, all right, I get it. For me, there's a certain like, yes, yeah. There's something magical about the moment. That's what I dream for. It's like, it's that. Oh boy.
That's what I love about this format, is like just the cards you have a connection with, the old stories that come out. That stuff is just it's really magical. It's really beautiful, and especially when you can like take the old nonsense and combine it with the new nonsense and do something like Spirit Gun Garrett and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So one thing I actually wanted to talk to you about was how do you think that the Eternal list skews so totally towards combo that you cannot play like a control game, that you can't play I think it's answered a little bit, right? Because the Gemini Man list is basically an aggro, right? It's an aggro list.
Yeah.
But one thing that a local player told me, that he's like, I don't want to play it because it's just going to be combos, right? Because there's so many things that you're just gonna find generic combos that are gonna be way better than anything else. Do you think it's possible to have a different game plan than just playing combos?
Yes, sir. Well. I was gonna say certainly, but then I thought about our conversation about Tim Keefe and Cassie Cage and stuff like that.
Right.
Where, is your deck playing Nutcracker? Is it a combo deck when you Nutcracker someone?
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair point. Well,
from a certain point of view, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And you certainly you can't just build your deck. I'm just like, I'm gonna play good cards and just good stuff, and not gonna think about how they actually cooperate together and how they fit together. Like, you want that to be valid to an extent in some specific circumstances, but if you're designing your game, you aspire to something greater than that, I think. And I think you can definitely build a deck that's aggro. I think you can definitely build a deck that's full of control cards. There's a lot of, and it's sort of like, I think in UFS, if you're building a control deck, you don't want to like win the game like a pleb. You don't want to be like an aggro deck that wins on turn 6, and it just has to because you have to like, people get exponentially better at defense as the game goes on, and so if you're trying to like just like hurt missile launcher kill you on turn 6, it's not going to work. It's just it's going to fall. It's just going to completely fail. They're going to run into all kinds of time to find all kinds of answers that are tuned to stop you from getting herp killed on turn 2.
Right.
All the sword that you're going to have like 4 swordfishes in their stadium. It's like, how do I missile launcher through those? I don't. So
doesn't happen.
You kind of want to play a controlling deck that has some sort of synergistic kill, whether that's an outright combo like this deck where it's killing you no matter what, like your life total is completely irrelevant, or whether that's like a confronting Jada deck that's going to play it like Dark Shirito and then put it to 70 speed and then give it plus 70 damage. There's all kinds of ways you can approach that, but I think there's certainly a spectrum of like, even this deck, it's playing a lot of cards that are very dedicated to ending the game in a certain way and very, very quickly. Like, I've gotten turn 3 kills with this deck. Virtual kills, I don't know. Like, maybe they're an 80 card deck, so it's not a kill. But like, I could deck you if you play 60 cards for sure.
Right.
And I can combo on turn 3, I guess I should say. That's unlikely. And if your aggro deck is like, I have killed someone on turn 3 once, your attack sucks. And so, like, this is a more controlling deck. It's on the controlling spectrum, or I guess maybe you could say it's like a combo deck that's also a defensive combo deck where it's defensively comboing hand cannon and stuff.
Right.
Does that kind of answer the question, I think?
I think it does. I think it does. I think that the tools are so varied that you're not forced to go into some herb derb combo, right? Like putting all you don't have to just take this one thing that you found and find a bunch of other things that surround it that put the eggs in that basket. If you wanted to play a good stuff thing, you could do a good stuff thing. Just don't be stupid about it. I think if I could summarize.
I think the eggs in the basket, I like that metaphor a lot because that's certainly a play style, like certainly a approach to card games is I'm going to find the best eggs and devote my entire life to finding the best basket and putting those eggs in that basket, and that's how we're going to win all of our games, is specifically this egg and specifically this basket. And this deck is certainly a bit of your fatalities have to go in the basket.
Right.
And I think you can certainly build a much more well-rounded deck than that. And you can like win with damage and stuff. I don't know. Right. It reminds me of Standard, really, where you can play Lord Raptor, and your game plan is is kind of guided by the cards you're playing. You're attacking and you're denying staging areas and stinging damage and whatever. And if you play Spike, and he's a totally different flavor of the game. To what extent are either of them control or aggro or whatever? It's kind of fuzzy.
Or burn, right? Like, I mean, Vengeance of the Fallen Angel with Noob is certainly going to be a thing.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of going on the complete other side of the spectrum than retro, right? What has you excited that's coming out in the TBD land, right? In these
Ooh, in
DLCs.
the DLCs, huh? Well, Noob Saibot's pretty busted. I don't know if I've actually been excited about that because it's like I really love. I mean, a bunch of my first champ cards were like, hey, put character cards in your deck, and now they're putting I'm putting a character card in my deck, and I love cards like Tongku's Assault and Fusion of Souls. Like these are cards that that's really cool. I want to build a deck around that. I'm speed
Right.
+1 card and like have like figure out uses for my 0 mid block.
Mm.
And now it's like I'm used to scratching in the dirt for my cards to work together. I'm used to finding weird nonsense like Hakeshu of Death to fit my things together, and Destined Warrior. Now it's like just obviously you play this. It's obviously very good. If you draw it, you're gonna feel good about yourself every time. That's messed up, man.
It's even a 3 diff. That's the extra cherry on top of the cake is that it's a 3 diff character, right?
This is just
you don't even have
gateway shuffle.
Yeah, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to be like, I have to play the 6 diff into another 6 diff, right? Or if you're doing like the Akuma one, Raging Demon. Yeah, that would be a 6 diff into an 8 diff, right? Which is a little bit different, right? But it's a 3 diff. It's a 3 diff. It makes me so sad. Also incredibly happy because I can play such stupid shit, right? And I love Fusion of Souls. I so love Fusion of Souls as an idea, right? Like I remember how much I got yelled at because I put it in my Quan deck, my Death Quan, before the David PTC, and I got yelled at for putting it in. They're like, just don't do that. What do you don't have enough? I'm like, all right, fine. I'll put the what's the Salinka 05?
Oh, Wishing Ward. Well, you should play that too.
Yeah, I put Wishing Ward instead of it, and the irony is I won against Miles because of Wishing Ward.
Well, it sounds like you got good advice from your friends.
Yeah, so I got good at but I wanted to play Fusion of Souls, so now I can actually play Fusion of Souls, right?
Maybe you would have beat him if you just had a +0 mid block instead. Never know.
Never know. You never know. Probably not. He has a lot of high attacks. But okay. So excited, not excited about Noob.
Yeah, I feel like my meta answer really is like I'm excited. I feel like I'm being and again just build a Dejanet deck and tell everyone they can't have any fun anymore. I'm gonna Noob response. Okay, put that attack back in your hand, please.
Yeah, you're giving
away
my.
How much damage does it have now?
Yeah, you're giving away my tech.
There's that. There's like this card Soul Calibur speaks to me, and then it tells me to shut the fuck up because I want to play it with Scarlet Meteor, and it just seals Scarlet Meteor. So I don't know. I'm paralyzed with indecision there.
It's the old anti synergy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if they seal my attack and then eat it, I can still respond with my Soul Calibur to get a different weapon. So there.
Does it fetch it out of discard? That's like the same thing. There you go.
I think. Yeah.
Okay, so is the ultimate like swag on an opponent to Meteor, grab Soul Calibur, and then hit them with it so you can grab a different asset.
That's a maneuver.
It's certainly a maneuver. Oh man. Yeah, I understand why that card has 3 infinity symbols, but perhaps the Arcommit could have been switched with the or the Libra of Souls only thing could have been on the other one, you know?
I don't know. Like, it's tough.
You don't think that fixes
wild card assets are really good.
Okay, yeah, I get it. And
you don't have to chain with it even.
It's true.
Like I don't know if you know this, but the deck I played at Worlds was Yoshimitsu playing pure off symbol Kali Yugas. I know you know this, but
of course,
I thought the audience knew this.
That deck was sweet. That deck was so cool.
I just made it more Wally and with more Shokan Princes, and I haven't really played it. I gotta play more UFS, man. It's so hard because
I was, after they told me I couldn't play Bison, I remember you telling me that I could just mill with Yoshi. So I was about to message you, and then they were like, I need my list right now. So I was like, okay, and I sent them a Morrigan list, right? Which is still fun, and I'm having a lot of fun because I put 20 characters in it or something like that.
But the way it's meant to be with your characters, where you're playing garbage, and it's like, this, like you draw them. It's like I'm gonna figure something out to do with this piece of crap. Then you check a 6 and you're like, oh, I'm so good.
I'm the greatest. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, but you should definitely play that Yoshimitsu deck because I can't play Bison, so somebody has to mill people out. Yeah.
I have one PTCs with Fatality. I have one Cash Money with Fatality. I will keep winning with Fatality until they take it away.
That sounds wonderful to me.
And without the other things too. I like your pass on it.
I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you there. Love the game.
No one listening to this is going to be like, nah, man, that game sucks ass.
Yeah, fuck this game.
Why are you on this YouTube channel, dude? What have you done with your last hour of your life?
Okay, well, I if you don't play Yoshimitsu the next Legendary Wolf Games tournament, I'm not going to do anything, but I'll be sad. I'll just make a sad face. I'll make a sad face. Okay, man. Is there anything else you want to go into?
You want to talk about kind of the future of Eternal? If what we can do with that.
Sounds great.
I don't know. What do you think we should do with it?
Well, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, right? Like if
this kind of like glance on it, yeah.
Right. This Legendary Wolf Games tournament shows that we can actually have an online tournament, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's some way we can make asset packs for older sets, like have a mod for Tabletop Simulator with the older stuff. That'd be a great place to start at the very least, right? Because we know we can get it on tap. You can play over Skype, I guess. But if having the Eternal cards in TTS could be really cool. I'm sure that's something that we could crowdsource in some way. I think the biggest question mark about it is getting those cards, right? And organizing events, and online makes it so easy. So if I were to make the call, I would be like, well, let's try to make, spread the word about this, right? And get people turned on and hyped to Eternal as a format, as a thing, right? And maybe get some of these online tournaments firing. And if not that, like at the PTCs, just side events, right? Like maybe we should when the country, God for
when that should occur.
Yeah, when the world turns on again, hopefully we can get some of these PTCs to do side events, and because what really got me into the older cards was playing at my first Nats in 2018. After Barrett Bryant dumped on my ass in top 16, I went and played in a Legacy Cube next to Dave Wagner, and it was so much fun to pass him a pack because I had no idea what anything did. And he was like, what the fuck? Why did you hand me this? And he takes it, right? And he would do this with everybody going around, right? And so that experience of playing with the older cards and be like, whoa, look at this stuff. Look at all my toys. It was such a little kid moment for me. And I think that it would be fun for everybody else to have that as well.
Yeah.
So the guys who bring out those cubes, keep bringing them out, and guys like you who have all these old cards and are willing to like borrow them out to people, we should definitely, whenever we go to the events, just try to organize it, right? And follow and follow through. But we got to talk to Suave, right? Suave is the TTS guy. Got to talk to that guy. See if I can get
Well, I understand the TTS is very entry. It's fairly low as far as getting new cards, and you basically just have to format them into a specific kind of image and then get that image uploaded. And then it's kind of from there it's sort of like there's the TTS mod that'll basically push it out to everyone who has that installed.
Right, who has
I know Tim actually put together his own DLC pack. Tim Keith did, I think. Just he wanted to get ahead of the curve and start putting these cards together for his stream. So he did that.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's some way we could do that and be able to start sorting the people. So I think that'd be a good place to start. Is we gotta find the means. B, we got to do what Legendary Wolf Games did and have an enticing price point and reward. It has to be $8. We figured out that $8 is the right number. And then,
and I'm just thinking like, I could just like post. I did for a little while. I was doing the retro card of the day on Reddit, and that decayed pretty rapidly from card of the day to card of once every 4 weeks to.
Well, I love those. I love those, by the way. They were fun. Well, this has been fun, man. Thank you very much for hanging out with me.
This is fun. I feel like we certainly had a wide-ranging interview.
Yes, yeah. This definitely went in a different trajectory. However, I think it was enjoyable nonetheless. I hope that the 4 people who watch these videos enjoyed as much as I did. Okay, so I think my internet is telling me that we gotta wrap it up. But thank you very much for coming on, man, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks a lot.